Hi, everyone, and welcome to this CPE webcast. The most important supply for TaxPros isn't found on store shelves. Tax and accounting professionals are now leveraging new technologies to make their firms more efficient and to stay ahead of competition. In this webinar, we'll explain how. This 50-minute CPE session is brought to you by CPAPracticeAdvisor.com and SafeSend. You can find them at SafeSend.com. SafeSend makes several technology solutions for tax and accounting pros, including its flagship SafeSend One platform, a multi-year winner of CPA Practice Advisor's Innovation Awards. They also offer additional solutions, including TickTie Calculate, an electronic work paper preparation tool for accounting and tax pros. I'm Isaac O'Bannon, Managing Editor of CPA Practice Advisor, and I'll be your moderator today. I've worked with technology, CPAs, and tax professionals for 25 years. CPA Practice Advisor was founded in 1991 and provides digital, print, video, podcasts, and other resources and news for accounting professionals. Before we get started, let me explain how you can earn CPE on this webcast. The webcast is 50 minutes and qualifies for 1 credit of CPE in the field of business management or organization, tax, or general CPE. If you want to claim CPE credit, you must stay with us for the entire 50 minutes. During the webcast, we will display 4 polling questions. In each poll, you need to record an answer. This is our verification that you're still watching the webcast. After the event, you will be presented with a post-event survey evaluation form. Your CPE certificate will be sent to the email address you used to register. During the webcast, you can ask questions in the field on your screen, and our speaker will try to get to as many questions as possible during the presentation, but questions not answered during the broadcast will be addressed by the speaker afterward via the email you used to register. The slides that the presenter uses in this presentation are available for download. They're on the left bottom of your screen under the Resources tab. Today, I'm joined by Joe Wroblewski. He manages the sales engineers for SafeSend and has more than 10 years of experience working in tax and accounting technology. He leverages his expertise in areas such as client success, learning and development, and sales to help new and existing customers make an immediate impact in their firm. Since 2012, he's held many roles at SafeSend, but mostly enjoys helping firms design workflows that best complement their specific needs. And now we're ready to begin. All right, Joe, thanks for joining us today. Let's talk about how you have learned how firms can be more effective and efficient.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Isaac. Thank you, everybody, for being able to join us today. For today's webinar, which is the most important supply for tax firms isn't found on shelves. As Isaac mentioned, I'm Joe Wroblewski. I manage our sales engineering team here at SafeSend. And I'm excited today to go through and share some insights with you that could fundamentally transform how your firm operates. Before we dive in, well, just want you to think for a moment, kind of when tax season hits, what's the one thing that your firm needs most? Is it paper? Is it printers? Is it coffee? While all of those things are certainly important, the most critical supply that your firm typically needs isn't something that you can order from a catalog. And today we're going to explore what that supply actually is, and more importantly, how you can ensure that your firm never runs out of it. I'll just take a moment here. Isaac already introduced me, so I don't really need to go into much of this, which is great for me, because I can move closer to what we're going to be talking about today. I have been with SafeSend for 12 years, working with prospects and clients, and just trying to make sure that we can help them streamline their workflow by adding some automations, and making sure that their clients, the taxpayer, has a very simple process going from whether the firm is requesting information from them or sending things to them. We always want to make sure that things are simple for them so that they're more likely to get more done. What we're going to be covering today for the agenda is first we'll start with a brief introduction to SafeSend and our solutions. And then we're going to dive into the core topic, and that's reducing your firm's reliance on paper and why it's more critical now than ever. We'll explore the difference between low value and high value productivity. This distinction alone could save your firm thousands of hours annually. And then from there, we'll discuss optimized tech stacks and why having too many disconnected tools might be hurting more than helping. We'll look at future-proofing your firm, because the decisions that you're making today are going to determine your firm's success in the future. And finally, we'll cover strategic implementation, the roadmap for making these changes without disrupting your current operations. And of course, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. Please feel free to submit your questions throughout. If we haven't been able to get to them, we'll make sure that we get back to you with answers to any questions you have. And that is going to bring us to our first polling question.
Okay, so we've got several hundred attendees today of this webcast. We're kind of curious, what field are you in? Are you in tax, audit, bookkeeping, other, or all of the above? And we'll give you guys a few minutes to discuss or to figure out which one you are. I assume you've worked with pretty much all of these people, Joe.
Yeah, well, the other I'm a little apprehensive about maybe sometimes, but yeah, that should be pretty good. Hopefully, mostly probably from tax, but definitely.
Right now, our early results are showing pretty much a large majority is tax. We'll give them a little bit more time. And of course, there's a lot of tax news these days, and I want to remind people to keep an eye on CPAPracticeAdvisor.com to keep up with the ever-changing legislation that's going through Congress and the Senate right now. Okay, and I'll hand it back to you, Joe. You see the results.
Yeah, this is kind of what we're hoping for this discussion, certainly. Thank you, Isaac. So what we're going to move into next is we're going to take a few minutes to introduce SafeSend and give you some context about who we are and what we've been able to accomplish in this industry to this point. There we go. So SafeSend has been innovating in the tax and accounting industry for over 15 years. So we're going to walk you through kind of what we've been able to accomplish because it kind of tells a story about how the industry itself has been evolving. So we started in 2008 with TickTie Calculate, which is an Adobe plugin to help you mark work papers. And in 2010, we introduced SafeSend Exchange, which is secure file transfer. By 2012, we launched our first e-signature platform called SafeSend Signatures, which was for for the most part at that point, it was for getting engagement letters signed. But we moved very quickly on into helping you get e-file forms signed as that became accepted by the IRS. And this was a really important time for that process, and we were first in the industry to allow for that. In 2016, we launched what really became the core of SafeSend, even up to this day, with SafeSend Returns, which is an automated assembly and delivery system for your tax returns. In 2017, we added the ability for you to send fillable organizers to your clients so that they could get those filled out and returned back to you a lot faster. And in 21, we unified everything into the SafeSend suite. So it was one platform for all client touch points across the entire engagement lifecycle. We added extensions into that so that you could get extensions out and your clients could get automatic reminders for payments on extension. And last year, we evolved everything into what we now call SafeSend One, which was a comprehensive end-to-end solution that automates the entire tax process from gathering through delivery. And throughout this journey, we've been recognized as a 4-time Innovation Award winner by CPA Practice Advisor Technology, 2016 to 2022. What we're most proud of is really being able to solve real-world problems. We talk to every client we have, every firm that we work with after each tax season to find out what went well, what didn't go well, what do we need to work on next. And we take that into consideration, and it really helps us provide a lot of enhancements that can really be impactful right away. Let me move into, there we go. This is the SafeSend 1 overview. So it shows you kind of what we're doing throughout the entire year. So this is really a culmination of everything we've learned. And we have put together, again, that end-to-end solution from Gather, which includes engagement letters, just electronic signatures at any point throughout the year, document request lists, organizers, secure file transfer. We have a new feature that we released last year called Next Gen Gather AI, which allows firms to send any combination they need to for their clients of an engagement letter, their own customized questionnaire, the fillable organizer coming out of your tax software, and a client-specific document request list. So Gather takes the organizer that you're typically sending to your clients, we are scanning it, and based on prior year information, we're able to present to each client their own document request list. And as they drag those documents back into our system, Gather recognizes them, matches them up with what was requested of them, so that your clients always know what they still have left to do, what they have accomplished, and most importantly, everybody at the firm internally knows what's going on and where your clients are throughout the entire process, through the entire year. We offer seamless integrations with CCH Access, UltraTax, GoSystem Tax, Intuit Lacert. We are compatible with ProSystem FX. We have an integration with TaxCaddy, Stripe, CPA Charge, and we kind of leads into the delivery, which I mentioned earlier as being the core of SafeSend, that automated assembly and delivery process that also includes electronic signatures, extensions, billing, K1 distribution, tracking and reporting, grouping returns. We want you to be able to get your tax returns out in 3 to 4 minutes per return. That's the average for our clients. We have a lot of different offerings with that we can touch on later on as we get further along today through what we want to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit here about the growth of each product, and then we'll jump into the topic. So I'll start with the numbers that really sort of demonstrate the trust that the industry has placed in us. Our tax return growth here is a pretty compelling story. We started in 2017 with a total of 44,000 returns being sent out from firms to clients, and now we're delivering over 2.5 million annually. And it's not just growth, but it's the adoption, exponential adoption by firms that are seeing a real value. And this growth represents thousands of firms who have made that decision to transform their operations to go more electronically, to make sure that clients that the taxpayers are better taken care of. Organizer growth we've seen go from 49,000 in 21 to over 744,000 last year. E-signatures have grown to now over 1.3 million requests per signature being sent out last year. Our newest innovation, the one I mentioned a moment ago, Gather, went from, during the beta testing a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, which was 12,000 Gather requests were sent out, to over 420 sent out so far since then. And secure file transfer, which was something I mentioned earlier on, is the second thing we had added to our company with SafeSend Exchange. We had over 2 million secure file transfers go out last year. So these numbers they're more than just statistics. They really are showing a fundamental transformation in how successful firms operate. And from here, I'm going to go into the next section, and we'll start going into the topic here, reducing firms' reliance on paper. So we'll dive into this topic here, and this might seem very obvious in 2025, but you'd be surprised at how many firms are still so heavily dependent on paper processes that are really, they're draining profitability. It may be a very quiet drain, but it's happening somewhere in the background sometimes. But there are things that you can do to avoid that, and things that you maybe aren't even noticing that you can help make a little bit better. So we're going to talk now about why paper is time wasting. So So if you think about what paper processes or paper-based processes really cost your firm, every minute that you spend printing, collating, mailing, chasing down physical documents is a minute not spent on tax planning, advisory services, or building stronger client relationships. And if you think about your typical day during a busy tax season, how much time do you think you're spending on printing and sorting documents, filing and organizing physical paperwork, searching through file cabinets for client information, or mailing documents, and then just waiting for them to come back, or following up on missing signatures and documents and chasing those clients? These aren't minor inconveniences. They're productivity killers that steal hours from client-focused activities. But the costs go beyond just time. Paper processes create security risks. Physical documents can be lost. They can be stolen. They can be damaged, which creates liability and compliance issues. They also send the wrong message to clients. When your processes are paper heavy, you're signaling that your firm might be behind the times and maybe not fully equipped to handle modern business needs. In today's digital world, clients are expecting modern tools and seamless experiences. And paper processes can actually hurt your firm's reputation and make it harder to attract and retain the best clients and staff. Now let's talk about some concrete financial impacts that eliminating paper processes can help with. The numbers here are significant and they are measurable. Time savings per return here. Digital workflows save an average of 15 minutes per tax return. That might not sound like much for a single tax return, but if you do the math, if you're preparing 1,000 returns annually, it's 250 hours that you're saving. And if your average billable rate is $150 an hour, it's $37,500 in recovered time annually. The real impact is even larger. Firms can save $12,000 for every 1,000 returns processed digitally when you factor in the reduced labor costs, fewer errors, and improved efficiency across the entire process. And with completion rates, here's where digital really shines. We see at SafeSend a 95% e-signature completion rate within 15 days, compared to weeks or even months from paper processes. And our 97% successful knowledge-based authentication process rate eliminates the need for password resets, support calls. It saves time overall. It saves a lot of resending of things. And the real-time tracking that you'll have for your clients shows exactly where each client stands in the process, which dramatically reduces the time spent on follow-up emails and phone calls. If you're still using paper processes, you're essentially paying for inefficiency. Every paper return costs you more in time and labor than a digital one. And that cost compounds with every client every single year. The firms that have made this transition from paper heavy to electronic, they're not just saving money, they're reinvesting that saved time into higher value services that command premium pricing. And we're going to move into here the next polling question number 2 here. So we'll pause here for a moment for Isaac.
Okay, I was really kind of surprised by how much time that really does save, and the efficiency optimization and the value of that time. So our second polling question for the audience is, when you think about your most recent tax season just a couple of months ago, how did you send your client organizers to your clients last year? Did you mostly use paper, or B, mostly digital but had client print, scan, and mail it back? Digital, but the client didn't have to print, scan, and mail back, or kind of a 50-50 paper and digital mix, depending on your client or partner preference, or other. And I imagine you see a lot of a mix of these, but like you were saying, Jay, the more digital usage equals the more efficiency and the greater impact on firm efficiency.
And it just compounds over time. The more you keep doing it, the further behind you're falling, and the more inefficient your team becomes. And it's hard to find time to spend kind of talking to your clients about the things that you're really an expert at, advising them on different things if you don't have time to do that.
And it does look like, with the early results coming in, that it is kind of a mix. Fortunately, it looks like most of our attendees are moving or have moved mostly towards digital or digital mixed processes.
Great. That's a good sign. Seems to be getting better every webinar. All right. So what we'll move into next, this is going to bring us to one of the most important concepts that we're going to go over today, and that's the difference between low value and high value productivity. And understanding this distinction is going to be crucial for transforming your firm's profitability. The first thing we'll talk about here is common inefficiencies. And here's kind of the hard truth. Every minute spent on manual tasks is a minute that is not being spent on planning, advising, relationship building, and career growth. And I can break that down here a little bit by what common inefficiencies here really mean. So the first thing is admin work monopolizes skilled professionals. How often do you see experienced CPAs trapped doing data entry, sorting documents, and following up with clients and chasing clients instead of providing like strategic guidance? This is incredibly expensive. You're paying expert level salaries for clerical work to be a Kinko's for your clients. High value services take a back seat when your team is buried in manual processes. There's less capacity for profitable advisory work. Again, tax planning, relationship building. This is going to be kind of harping on this throughout this entire call. You can do more with these automations than you realize. These are the services that clients value most, and these are the services that they're paying premium rates for. Career growth. Your staff isn't able to develop their skills and advance if they're stuck doing repetitive, low-level tasks. That leads to frustration, turnover, difficulty attracting top talent on your side, and just burnout overall. Revenue potential remains untapped. So for the next one down, manual workflows prevent firms from scaling efficiently and with efficiency and capturing higher margin opportunities. So you're essentially capping your growth potential by not taking advantage of things that are automations that are available to you. With fewer accounting and tax professionals available, because there is a staffing shortage that I'm sure we all notice, inefficient processes become even more costly. Overworked teams struggle to maintain service quality because they're handling increasing workloads. And this just creates a vicious cycle. Inefficiency leads to longer hours, which leads to burnout, which leads to turnover, which leads to even more pressure on the remaining staff. Optimized tech stack here. So this is going to bring us to our next topic, which is optimized tech stacks. And having the right technology isn't just about having the latest tools. It's about having tools that work together seamlessly. So I'm going to go in here to streamlining your tech stack. The problem with too many different software options, and this was a trend a while ago where you would have different tools for different things. Like you'd have one vendor for e-signing and one for the portal and one for whatever else. And you'd have like 5 different vendors working because each of those vendors was maybe the best at that niche. But what that creates is more inefficiency in the long run. So the problem with too many different software options is real and it is costly. And I'll kind of go through what this could look like. When you're using multiple platforms, clients receive emails from different systems. This creates confusion about where to go and what to do. So one day maybe they're getting an organizer from one place and they're getting a signature request from another. And then they're completed return from a third place. Each system has different login requirements, different interfaces, different processes. It is very confusing. And then software, all those different vendors are not communicating with each other in the way that they could. This creates data silos that force your staff to manually transfer information between multiple systems. And not only is that a huge waste of time, it increases the potential for human error. How many times have you had to re-enter the same client information across multiple platforms? And every time you're doing that, you're taking a risk. Duplicated efforts without integration. Teams end up entering the same information multiple times, again, across different platforms, creating inefficiencies, increasing the risk of errors, and you might end up with like a client's address in your tax software, but forget to update it in another system, and then that's going to lead to issues in your third or fourth system, whatever vendor you might be using. We have seen firms using 5, 6, even 7 different software solutions for their tax process, and they have one for organizers, one for e-signatures, one for their portal, one for delivery. Each one of these requires a separate training, separate maintenance, separate vendor relationships, different support teams to help. And the hidden cost here isn't just the fees or the subscriptions for each of those, it's the complexity, the training time, the challenges of knowing which information needs to be moved from which system so that everything is updated correctly, and the inevitable mistakes that happen when information doesn't flow seamlessly between systems. Now we're going to talk about how to future-proof your firm. The decisions that you're making right now about your technology and processes are going to determine whether your firm thrives or struggles in the years ahead. So the next generation of clients and staff has fundamentally different expectations than they used to. And firms that don't adapt are going to be left behind. Clients expect modern tools and accessibility. Today's business owners want to handle their tax needs digitally from anywhere at any time, and not just business owners, but any taxpayer. They want convenience and accessibility. But if they're running their business or they're even anything, if they're doing everything that they can do right now, they can typically do on their smartphone and their tablet, and they're expecting you to be able to do the same thing. They expect that their CPA firm is going to be able to meet them where they already are technologically. And younger clients, if you think about them, and this is not just about age, this is, we'll get more into that in a little while, but younger clients are used to banking on their phones, signing contracts electronically, and accessing their important documents in the cloud. And when you hand them a paper organizer, you're creating a friction that they are not used to. And they're not used to that, not just with any one thing, with anywhere else in their lives, digital lives. Complex systems with multiple logins and confusing interfaces are going to drive your clients to competitors. So if your processes require your clients to remember multiple passwords, navigate through complicated and diverse systems, or to print and scan documents, you're creating barriers that modern consumers just aren't going to tolerate. They're going to move along. And they don't have to move along down the street to another CPA firm. They can go on the internet and find just about anybody anywhere. So there is a competitive advantage by using innovation. So firms that offer seamless digital experiences don't just retain clients better, they attract better clients and can command premium pricing. And when clients love working with your firm because the process is easy and efficient, they become advocates who refer other quality clients. Your next best clients are the ones that your best clients referred to you. Succession planning requires a modern infrastructure. So here's something that many firm owners don't consider at all. As senior partners retire, the systems that you're implementing today determine whether the next generation can successfully take over. And if your firm is built on paper processes and manual workflows, it becomes much harder to transfer to younger partners who expect modern, efficient operations. Client retention starts with exceeding expectations, and technology can play a crucial role in this. You don't want to fall behind other firms. So clients are increasingly choosing accountants and tax professionals based on their technology capabilities, not just their technical expertise. They assume that you have that technical competence. What differentiates firms now is the client experience. You want to make sure that you're maintaining a competitive advantage. So modern workflows become a differentiator that clients value and they talk about. When clients have a smooth, efficient experience with your firm, they're going to share that with other people. And when clients love working with your firm because the process is so easy and so efficient, they become, again, advocates for referrals. And those are the best, those are the second highest quality clients again. They also become less price sensitive because they value the overall experience. So not just the end result. We've seen this transformation happen repeatedly. Firms that invest in modern integrated technology don't just retain clients better, they attract higher quality clients who value efficiency and are willing to pay a premium for a premium service. But it's not just about clients. They're a big part of it, obviously. Technology transformations can also create a workplace that attracts and retains the best talent. Happier staff means happier clients. When your team isn't bogged down in manual processes, they're able to focus on the work that they train for and that they enjoy. And this leads to higher job satisfaction, better client service, and reduced turnover. Your staff did not join this industry so that they could enter data and drag signature fields around. Professional development through technology is really important. When your staff is able to master these modern tools, they become more valuable and more engaged in their careers. They're learning skills that transfer to other opportunities within the firm, and which paradoxically, it makes them more likely to stay because they feel like they're growing. They have a higher ceiling. If they stay where they are, they've already kind of learned everything in their role, and they see a trajectory. Automating administrative tasks allows professionals to focus on strategic work that's more rewarding and intellectually stimulating. And so instead of data entry, they're doing tax planning. And instead of chasing after signatures, they're building client relationships for you. Work-life balance improves. The next one down here. Efficient processes mean less overtime and stress, even during busy season. And this makes your firm an attractive place to work in a very competitive talent market. Staff retention overall just saves money. Reducing turnover eliminates costly recruiting, hiring, and training. And the cost of replacing a skilled tax professional can easily exceed over $50,000. But when you factor in recruiting costs, training time, and lost productivity during that period. In today's market, which is incredibly competitive, firms that offer modern, efficient work environments have a significant advantage in attracting and retaining the best people. And that brings us to the next polling question.
I can see that, especially client retention and with today's talent pipeline issues, the lack of, firms are really struggling. A lot of firms are. It's often in the news with retaining and attracting talented staffing, and a lot of these benefits are broad based. They help you keep valued clients and they help you keep valued staff. So it seems like it's more important than ever. This polling question is, which e-signature solution did you use this tax season? AssureSign, which is a CCH product, Adobe Sign, DocuSign, which is an Intuit product, Write Signatures from ShareFile, or UltraTax CS Signature. And if you used a different or non-listed item, go ahead and feel free to note that in the discussion area or in the question area, and we'd be interested to know. But I hope that all of you are using some form of e-signature system. Early results, a lot of people are using Intuit, and that's not a surprise because Intuit does have the largest share of the professional tax market. What are your thoughts on that, Joe?
Sorry, I was answering a couple questions that came in. Isaac, I'm so sorry. I was trying to take care of somebody who had a question about our integrations. Could you repeat that for me?
Oh, I was just saying, I went over their options for the voting, and I noticed that in our voting, Intuit's DocuSign was the largest share, and that's kind of understandable. That is the largest professional tax share in the market.
Yes,
and
huge.
I just want to know your thoughts on that product versus, say, the e-sign product from you guys.
So DocuSign is great. They're a big company. They do really good work. There's not really much to pick apart with them. They do excellent work. I'm not surprised that that they have such a large percentage of the answers for this. What we do is more in line with tax and accounting. So, for example, with DocuSign, if you're getting e-file form signed, our knowledge and your 1040 taxpayers have to go through this knowledge-based authentication process every year to verify their identity before they can sign e-file forms. While they certainly do a good job with that process, their success rate is in the 80s as far as percentage. Ours is at 97. It's never been below that. So and it's because we're more locked into tax and accounting. It doesn't matter to us what the real estate industry is requiring for knowledge-based authentication or what the HIPAA requirements are. We are focused on what the IRS is requiring. So we are a little better with that process, but DocuSign's great. I think everybody who's using it is probably pretty happy with them for the most part. Now, what we'll go into next is strategic implementation. So now that we've covered why that transformation is necessary, we're going to talk about how to actually make it happen. Strategic implementation is crucial, and poorly planned technology rollouts can really disrupt operations and frustrate staff and clients and cost a lot of money. So this is the roadmap for what we think of as a solid strategic implementation plan. So this approach ensures successful adoption. And here's how this roadmap works. First, assessment. Start by evaluating your current workflows honestly. Map out every step of your current process from initial client contact through final deliverables. Identify specific pain points and calculate the cost of current inefficiencies. This assessment phase is crucial because you can't improve what you don't measure. And for this process, you want to make sure that you're taking into account everybody in the office. So anybody who's doing anything there is going to have an opinion, and you want to make sure that everybody is heard. Because when you take everybody into account, you may find things that you didn't realize were happening, and map these things out. Plan is next. You want to develop a phased implementation timeline that minimizes disruption during busy season. The worst time to implement new technology is January through April, when your team is already under too much stress. So plan major changes for slower periods with training and testing happening well before busy season. So you can implement it's often better to implement earlier than you realize. Don't wait until you get closer to busy season. Do it earlier so that you can practice. Your staff can gain some comfort and confidence using this new technology. Now, for that implementation, the rolling out of new systems with proper training and support for both staff and clients is crucial. This is not just about teaching people how to use new software. It's about change management. Some team members are going to embrace new technology. Others are going to resist. Plan for this. Have strategies to support everyone through the transition. And not every technology that you use is going to work for every client. I don't think there's a technology out there that's going to work for 100% of your clients. So plan in advance to have options for those clients who aren't going to be able to use the new technology that might be the best fit for you. You also want to optimize. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring adoption rates and gathering feedback continuously. So the first version of any new process is rarely perfect. It's usually pretty far from that. You want to build through time and mechanisms. You want to build so that you can build by gathering feedback and measuring success, so that you can make the right improvements and target the areas that most need that. And the more measuring of quantifiable data you can gather, the better, so that you can see as you continue to get data, even well past implementation, you can start seeing where roadblocks or friction points might start showing up, and you can predict that ahead of time and make pivots. You want to make sure that you're tracking key metrics like completion rates, error rates, user satisfaction. So have your clients take surveys so that you know what they're thinking about their experiences, and that's going to open up some things that maybe you didn't realize as well. Measure success. This is the most important thing here. You want to make sure that you're tracking key metrics like time savings, client satisfaction, staff productivity to demonstrate an ROI and identify areas for continued improvement. This data is really crucial for getting buy-in for future improvements and proving the value of your technology investments. One of the most important things I think that you can do when you're looking into getting new technology is striking a balance between the new technology that's out there and client relationships. So you don't necessarily want to go with the newest, shiniest technology because it might not be a good fit for your firm. You know your clients, you know your staff, and you always want to make sure that you're not going to lose track of your firm goals. That has to be, I think, number one. And there's a fine balance there. Not every tool is going to work for you. So if you are able to go through that assessment plan that starts this roadmap, you're going to find friction and you're going to find bottlenecks that might be unique to you. And so that technology that might work for some CPA firms is not necessarily going to work perfectly for you. Don't buy the shiniest, most expensive thing out there right away. Go through and make sure that you are targeting your specific needs, whether that is one single end-to-end solution or whether it is a couple. I know I mentioned earlier on, a lot of this is about having too many different systems that don't communicate. But if it's a couple and it's working really well for you, that's different. You just don't want to have so many systems that they're not able to communicate with each other and that you end up duplicating a lot of the work, and which increases a lot of errors and makes your staff and clients more unhappy. But if you can target everything correctly and focus on vendors that really specifically address your concerns and your pain, you're going to be able to open up more capacity faster with the same amount of staff, so that you can start offering more services to your clients, like advisory services. And you can start taking advantage of your expertise and spend more time talking to your clients about those things that you're trained to do and that they're expecting you to be able to help them with, rather than a lot of the manual labor that a lot of firms get bogged down and they don't really see a way out. It's easier than you think, but you do need to be proactive. You need to make sure that you're doing this assessment as early as possible. So right after tax season, within the first couple of months, while you're still very aware of the pain, but maybe a little further away, that you can kind of take a better, more holistic look at kind of what you all went through. Start tracking all of the things that you're spending time on and that everybody is spending time on. Map it out, find out where there are some bottlenecks, open those up through new technology, find out what technology is going to work best for those specific bottlenecks through research, and through online peers. You can, through the associations that you're already a part of, reach out to people who are using, who are using the software that you're looking at. Go on to places like like Reddit. There's where you have firms that might be very similar size using some of these products. Find out what they're running into. Get references from the vendors that you're looking at and talking to. Make sure that that the training that they're going to take you through doesn't just stop after the implementation, that there's some continuing education with new enhancements or with new people coming in. How are they going to be trained? You want to make sure when you're talking to them that the support team that you're going to be contacting is available for you. You can get to them quickly and that they understand what you're going through. You don't want to talk to a support team during the height of busy season and realize that they don't have any tax and accounting background and they weren't trained on it, so they don't really know what you're going through. That's a big misstep. So there are a lot of different things that you can do when you're going through and researching technology and new technology to implement that will really help make sure that you're finding the best fit for your firm. It's vital. You really want to make sure that you're taking all of that into account, and also ask about the training. I mentioned what kind of training is included. Is there a charge for adding new staff or for going through and having refresher trainings? What does that entail? These are things that I run into every day talking to prospects, and they never ask these questions. It's important to know how you're going to stay, not only get up and running, but stay up and running and get educated on new features and new technologies that vendor is going to be releasing. It's a very big deal. Now, measuring the success, which is further down on this list, is something that doesn't stop after the implementation. You want to have plans in place, whether they're 30, 60, 90-day plans, so that you are always continuing to track progress. You want to celebrate very early victories. So as things start working out and you notice them immediately, make sure everybody on staff knows so that they feel better about using this new technology. There are always people on staff that are going to be resistant to change. Make them part of this whole process. Involve them even more than what you had planned, because those are the minds that you really want to change. Put them near the front so that they can experience this new technology and they can see the advantages of it. And I think most importantly is client education. So when you start implementing technology, make sure that your clients are aware ahead of time of what you're doing. Send them an email that shows them what notifications will look like, what their process will look like, whether it's a guide, a tutorial, a video. Make them feel like they're part of the process and let them know very, very clearly why this is all advantageous to them, that you're using this new technology. Why are you doing this? What will they gain from this? Because if you don't point that out, you're going to confuse them and you're going to frustrate them. And you don't necessarily even have to ask them whether they want to use this new software. What we have found is that firms that say that kind of ask their clients ahead of time, they say, we're using this new technology. Do you want to also use it, or would you like to use what you've always done? Clients are not going to change. People don't like change. I don't like change. Nobody does. So give them more of an opt-out rather than, or a forced opt-in, where they would have to say, if you're going to a more electronic setup for organizers, just let them know that we're using this system. Here's why it's beneficial to you. Here's what it will look like. If you still want paper, check this box, but we will charge you an extra $25 for a paper product because it is less safe. It's not as efficient, and we'd like to move away from that. That is really kind of best practice for most firms at this point. Now, getting all of that in there, sorry. Before we wrap up, I think we have one more polling question here. So we'll go into that if you don't mind, Isaac. And I'm so sorry again for that question earlier.
Okay, we seem to have gone to the Q&A, but there's one more polling question.
I just wanted to skip over that. I
and-
thought that we'd asked just to skip over that from my screen so it didn't confuse anyone.
Okay, but you want me to go ahead and ask?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that roadmap was really good timing too, because this is the key time to do that. This is a couple months out of the peak of tax season. Of course, tax season is not over until October 15th for many people with extensions. But what is your biggest pain point this year? Has it been staff burnout, an overwhelming tech stack, recruiting or maintaining talent, cybersecurity concerns, aka keeping your data safe, or other issues? And I'll leave it with you, Joe.
No, thank you very much, Isaac. And sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you with that either. The skipping over that, I just did. I know that sometimes if they see the poll on the screen in a slide, it can't be clicked on. So I wanted to have this, make it simple for that.
Okay, it seems with regard to all of those can be major issues, but moving towards a more efficient technological system. I mean, I'm reluctant to change at times as well, but after a few weeks or months, sometimes you realize, wow, this really is better, and sometimes hindsight, you realize, wow, I haven't used the printer in weeks, and what a blessing that is, and then of course cybersecurity concerns are always an issue, and knowing that a technology company has experts on their end that's always maintaining the ultimate security is it's a welcome assurance as well.
Definitely. And it seems like it's kind of a toss up here on this last one. We've got a lot of things that all seem to be very similar percentages. So it looks like, yeah, the end result there is all very, very close between all of those things. So they all make a big deal, all very impactful. So this does kind of bring us towards the end of our presentation, but I do want to make sure, it looks like the questions have gone through. I'm going to go through just a quick summary of what we covered today. So hopefully now that we've seen how reducing paper dependence, it isn't just about like going green. It's about freeing up your most valuable resource, which is time. We have discussed critical differences between low value busy work and high value professional services that clients actually pay premium rates for. We've explored how streamlined, integrated technology stacks eliminate inefficiencies and reduce complexity and confusion. We've talked about future-proofing your firm for the next generation of clients and staff who have different expectations than previous generations. And we've also outlined a practical roadmap for implementing these changes without disrupting your current operations. The most important supply for tax firms truly is not something that is found on shelves. It's the time and mental bandwidth, sometimes the emotional bandwidth to focus on what matters most, and that's serving clients, building relationships, and growing your practice. So if you do have questions, we do have a few minutes here, and we'd love for you to share what's on your mind, what questions you may have. If you'd like more information, please contact us. We'd love to go through a demonstration of what our offerings are, and whether you're curious about specific features or implementation timeline, integration capabilities, or anything else, let me know. This is these last few minutes are for you. But thank you all of you who have attended to ask questions today. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, everybody who's helped out in the background. We really appreciate you being able to be here today, and hopefully this was a helpful presentation.
Okay, thank you, Joe, for the presentation. And anybody who wants to learn more can go to SafeSend.com. We hope you enjoyed this webinar. You can find additional upcoming webinars under the resources tab at our website, cpapracticeadvisor.com. Thanks again to SafeSend for making this event possible and enabling us to offer a free CPE credit to each attendee. As a reminder, you'll receive your CPE certificate in your email inbox later this afternoon. Should you have any questions about CPE, you can contact us at editors@cpapracticeadvisor.com. You'll now be presented with a post-event survey for this event. Filling out this form is optional, but we hope you'll share your feedback with us so that we can continue to improve our webinar series. As I stated earlier, the slide deck is available at the lower left corner of your screen. And any questions, I see a couple more just came in. Any questions that were not answered during the webinar, Joe or someone with his team will get back to you. We've got the email that he can contact you at, and he'll get those questions addressed. This is the end of the webinar. Thank you for joining CPA Practice Advisor and SafeSend. Have a good day.